Hi there, my name is Victoria Bowler, and today we are talking about big idea concept-based lesson planning for elementary music. I've done a video on concept-based planning already, so I will link it below just in case you're interested. That video is much more of the actual musical side of planning. So like how we walk through a musical sequence to string together several different lessons. Today, we're actually going to zoom a level above that and talk about some of these overarching ideas that can really tie our concept plans together. So this is a perspective that can be really helpful if we want to intentionally include things like SEL ideas or enduring understandings or anything that doesn't necessarily fall in a very strict musical scope and sequence. This is also a really nice approach if we are looking for a way to integrate our concept plans to areas outside the music program, like in an interdisciplinary unit. First, let's talk about concepts as we are using them today. Normally, when I refer to a concept, I am talking about a specific musical focus. And in a concept-based lesson, we're thinking about how we can take that specific musical focus and explore it across several different lessons. And that is absolutely one way to think about a concept and concept-based lesson planning. But concepts can also be more abstract ideas, like musical relationships or relationships in general, or maybe structure, or maybe creativity. That's what we're talking about today. So these big picture, more abstract concepts. There are two ways that I think about this that I have found to be helpful. One is nesting concepts, and the second one is activity webs. And I use both of them because they really help me frame my thinking as I am putting together plans. So first, let's talk about nesting concepts. This comes from the work of an education author named Robin Fogarty. And the idea is that different subject focuses and processes and skills fit together. They can be nested together so that we're not teaching them separately. We're teaching them in a way that is integrated. And the visual here is probably what you're thinking of. They're the different mixing bowls, so like the small one, the middle one, the large one, and they all fit together. They all nest together. So the inside bowl is the educational content focus, and then the bowl outside of that is a discipline-specific process or a life skill. And then we go outside that and we have another, a bigger discipline-specific process or a bigger life skill. So one example in kindergarten might be that the inside bowl, the discipline-specific concept, is melodic contour. Zooming outside of that, we might have something like playing barred instruments and matching pitch. And then zooming out behind that, or bigger than that, we might have the idea of ensemble. So when it's time to plan our activities, we're going to think about how we work as an ensemble to match pitch and play barred instruments in order to show melodic contour. Or in second grade, we might say that our discipline-specific concept, that inside bowl, is takadimi. And then zooming out, we might have the musical skills, musical concepts of playing ostinati and working with part work, or playing body percussion on different levels, or doing rhythmic arranging. And then zooming out from that, we might have a bigger concept of complementary relationships. So then, when it's time to plan our activities, we're going to look at how takadimi can be used in ostinato patterns and part work processes and body percussion levels and arranging activities in order to create musical relationships, rhythmic relationships that are complementary. So the different nested bowls here, they create different lenses that we can use to talk about a single lesson activity, depending on how far in or out we want to zoom. When we zoom in, it looks like just our regular singing songs and playing games and doing our activities with our target element. But when we zoom out a little bit more, we see something that is a little bit more transferable. And then when we zoom out even more, we have a really broad concept or a process or a life skill, like working in an ensemble or seeing differences as complementary. So this model of nesting concepts, it was developed for an integrated curriculum. So if you are in a situation where you need to show how our subject connects to other discipline areas, this can be a really useful framework. But I think it's also really useful if we are only teaching music. I don't mean only teaching music, but if we are specifically teaching music. This is one of the approaches that I take inside the planning binder. So our focuses this year have been ensemble, and then complement, and then collaborate, and then creative choice. Because the idea of working in an ensemble and of viewing our differences as complementary and having skills to collaborate and opportunities to make creative choice, all of these things are really important for musicians to learn, and they're going to benefit all of us, both inside the music room and outside the music room. Here's another way to visualize the same thing, another way to visualize big idea concepts. This time we're working with a web, and my thinking on this graphic was really influenced by Lynn Erickson and Lois Lanning, and then also the work of Jay McTighe and Harvey Silver. So when I'm creating activities for the planning binder and for my own school, for my own teaching situation, I'm thinking about how the activities are connected to each other and to larger concepts. So let's start with a curricular focus. And this is from the first grade Ta and Toddy concept plan inside the planning binder. So we have our focus. Next, let's add our repertoire. And each of these songs has been chosen because it has an extractable phrase that aligns with our rhythmic focus. So now let's add our big idea concept. In this case, we're thinking about complementary relationships. So now when it's time to build the actual musical activities, I can be thinking about the opportunities to show the idea of complementary relationships in several different ways. An example of that is we can play the rhythm and the beat. These are different sounds. Beat and rhythm are different sounds, and they have different musical functions, but they work together in a complementary relationship. So half the class plays the rhythm, half the class plays the beat. We're playing different things, but we still need to work together. We could say the same thing about a rhythmic ostinato. We don't want our ostinato to be identical to the main song, right? That's what makes it an ostinato. It's being different that makes it interesting to our ears. We need complementary relationships for part work. Or we can look at arranging an existing rhythm for body percussion, because this is moving away from musical relationships and now musician relationships. It's normal when musicians are working together, it's normal for them to have different ideas because they're both two different people, right? But how could those two musicians bring their ideas together, even though they're different? How can they bring them together in a way that's complementary? So the idea of complementary relationships is that we can see both the music we are exploring and our relationship with the other musicians as being different in a way that works together. So when it's time to plug these activities into our teaching sequence, we have a collection of learning experiences that are really, really intentional and really focused. So with this framework, all of our games and songs and activities and interactions, they're all going to be really, really fun, right? But the songs and the games and the activities, they're all also connected to a specific concept focus. The teaching sequence is going to stay the same, but the activities within that sequence, they're all pointing to a bigger concept, a big idea concept. I mentioned teaching sequences, and that might be a subject for a different video. But in the meantime, if you have a question or a comment about concept-based lesson planning, like big idea concept-based lesson planning for elementary music, I would love to hear from you. You can drop a comment below. You can find me on Instagram. I am @VictoriaBowler, or you can shoot me an email, victoria@victoriabowler.com. Thank you so much for watching, and happy teaching.